Ever wonder why some product managers seem to know what users will love even before building it? They are not psychic. They have product sense. And if you've been told that's something you either have or you don't, you've been lied to. Here's how to actually develop it. You see other PMs confidently predicting what will work while you're crossing your fingers, hoping your next feature doesn't flop. You make decisions based on your gut feeling, but somehow your gut feeling keeps being wrong.
What's wrong with me?
The truth is, product sense is a magic. It's a learnable skill that separates good product managers from great ones. Most people think that product sense is a superpower that only few PMs have, like the ability to read minds or predicting which football team is going to win the next match. It turns out, product sense is more like reading the room, except your room is full of unpredictable humans and their weird clicks. Here are 5 product accelerators that will change the way you make decisions. First, pattern recognition training. Think like AI, but for products. Product Sense works exactly like AI. You identify patterns and make predictions based on your training data. But instead of using random industry data, your training data is user behavior. Just like AI, if you train your internal algorithm with wrong data sources, with wrong predictions, you're gonna propagate this error going forward. Here's how you do it. When your users interact with your product, ask yourself 3 questions. What were they trying to do? Why did I do it the way that they did? What happened when they succeeded or failed? Document these patterns. In the past, I think I used to have a Notion page, just documenting what was my conclusion or what was I trying to do, then the data that supported it, and what really happened at the end. You can write yourself something such as, using positive language makes users more prone to opt-in. Start predicting outcomes before you ship. I think this will increase conversion because of yada, yada, yada. Then, measure whether you're right or not. A real example I read a while ago on LinkedIn. A PM noticed users kept abandoning their cart on checkout. Too many options cause decision paralysis. Prediction, reducing the amount of options will increase conversion rate. And it did. Now, one thing to notice is there is a chance that it will be hard for you to find the data within the tracking platforms to make your predictions and to understand what's going on. But this is not the only way that you can train your internal algorithm. You can also observe. Whenever you go into the office, check what people are doing.
Who are you? And why are you stalking me?
For example, observe the secretary. What is she doing as soon as she arrives to the office? Is she getting her coffee before or after she logs into her computer? What does she drop first when she arrives to the office? Is it the coat? Is it the bag? When you see a partner going to the office, what are they doing as soon as they arrive? Are they logging into their computer? When are they getting their coffee? How do they gather people when they go into a meeting? How do they do it whenever there are good news? How do they do it when there are bad news? Second, empathy through self-awareness. You can't understand users if you don't understand yourself. Most PMs confuse sympathy with empathy. Sympathy is, users will get frustrated when something doesn't work the way that they expect it to. Empathy is understanding why they're frustrated and what they'll do about it. Most PMs think that being able to address when someone will be annoyed by something is called empathy, and that's not what it is. Sympathy is seeing a blind person on the street, trying to define when to cross the street and thinking, oh man, that sucks. How did they even identify where something is? Empathy is seeing someone fall off from their bike and feeling that must have hurt. Like, you know that pain you feel right after you fall, like where your legs don't immediately respond. That sensation of burn from the open wounds. We can all relate to it, right? Because at some point in our life, we've all fallen. Sympathy is, that sucks. Empathy is, if this user doesn't get help fast, their business might fail.
Not my problem.
Picture a startup founder being locked out from their digital bank account because they were wrongly cataloged as a fraudster. They've tried every chatbot and every forum to get their cash flow back. However, their account was simply frozen. Sympathy is, oof, Empathy is, if this founder doesn't pay for payroll soon, they might go under. We need a fast escalation system. The thing is, you can't understand your users until you understand yourself. You need to develop empathy through self-awareness. But how do you do that? Well, first you work on that self-awareness. How do you react to day-to-day situations? What happens when something frustrates you? What happens when you're completely blocked? What do you do when a product frustrates you? Do you immediately leave? Do you try different approaches? Do you get angry? Then observe. How do different users behave to the same situation? If you want to do this in a bootcamp mode, just go to a hospital's emergency room. You'll see how people behave differently for the same situation. Watch to those who try to put in the pressure. Watch those that are waiting calmly even though they are in critical condition. Notice the different patterns.
Where am I?
You're in the emergency room.
This isn't an emergency room. This is a Williams-Sonoma.
Finally, do a perspective shift. Not everyone's like you. I've heard some PMs saying, hey, I prefer this option, so obviously that user will prefer this option. The thing is, every user has a different priority, every user has a different problem, and you need to understand the problems applicable to your users. For example, busy parents value speed over features, while a power user wants customization over simplicity. The thing is, if you want to scale a big business, you cannot be tailoring to small users unless you have a large subscription fee. Otherwise, you're just losing money for one particular user just because they use your tool a lot. You also need to understand the exception. Just because most people fit into a pattern doesn't mean every single user will. So when you start seeing tracking data, when you start seeing user journeys, understand that the way that some of the users behave is unique. Doesn't belong to this 80% of users. They might be the outliers. Don't ignore this. Outliers give a lot of information. They help you understand how some things could be done much better. Example, when you're designing for a low-income user, every extra step costs them time that they can't afford. When designing for a high-income user, every extra step costs them seconds they won't tolerate. Third, use numbers as your North Star. Put numbers to every assumption, even if it's rough. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to exist. You don't need to be a data scientist, but you do need to quantify your thinking, because otherwise it will always be this ambiguous perception of what something is versus a quantifiable reflection on something that actually happened. There are two approaches. The easy way is you set up an A/B test. You try variations in parallel and let the data decide. The hard way, you track metrics before and after it changes. Watch out for seasonality and external factors. A pro tip here, you can go to product demos and listen to other product managers talking about what it is that they did and how they are sharing it. What are the metrics that they are talking about? Why did they choose that problem? How did they solve it? What else did they try? You can also learn from the losses, but you do that silently. You don't ask them in front of everyone at the demo, you ask them afterwards. Numbers don't lie, but your gut sometimes does. So do yourself a favor. Start treating assumptions like a math problem, not like a horoscope prediction.
She's reading my horoscope.
Edge case thinking. Every solution creates new problems, so anticipate them. The best PMs don't only think about what happens when things go right.
Thank you. I'm finished now.
They also think about what would happen if things went wrong.
Excuse me? Can you help me?
Obstacle averted. Resuming operations.
Real cases, digital banks blocking legitimate users because their fraud prevention system was too aggressive. Social media treating you as a pervert when searching for the name of an influencer. A hotel chain automatically preparing romantic welcome packages to a loyal customer who instead showed up with his wife and kids.
What is this?
A self-checkout verification system that requires human intervention twice for the same purchase.
This is just unnecessary.
For every new feature, ask yourself, what is the worst case scenario?
World's most harshest environment. So anything that could go wrong will go wrong eventually.
Consider your most vulnerable users. What could go wrong for them? Consider you made a mistake. How would a user feel if you were wrong? This is something that happened to me yesterday. I was reading this newspaper article in a Spanish newspaper about this influencer, so I decided to go and check into Instagram to find myself in the situation where I was getting a notification of wrongful behavior. Oh my god. I was searching and I found that I was like, what did I do? Okay, so they just called me a perv for no reason. And that feeling was so horrible, it will not go away easily.
That's Crime and Punishment. The end. Yours sincerely, Dostoevsky.
So Meta, please do something about it. Like, as you know, Meta had several issues from less than ethical behavior on their platforms that was not being addressed. However, what happens when one of your solutions to that problem becomes a problem for so many other users? Because just check out the fact that this influencer has 4 million followers. So if every time someone searches for them, they're gonna see this message. What are they doing about it? What should happen in here? Should the platform change the rule or should the influencer change her name? I guess we'll find out. 5. Long-term consequence mapping. Your sense will become your penitence. You want to take shortcuts now and trick your users into doing things they shouldn't be doing just so that you can improve that metric? Wonderful. Wait to see how your users react in the long term, because they will not be happy.
You dirty little liar.
You're just gonna see how your users get annoyed in the long term and how they don't wanna work with your brand anymore. Every trick you use to drive short-term metrics will create long-term friction. Examples. Are you gonna trick users to pay for something they didn't sign up for? Well, wait for them to not trust your company for the next years to come.
I didn't buy the ticket. I got it.
They'll start scrutinizing every new feature you release. You hide cancellation options, users will never trust your product or your industry again. You'll see them checking out how to cancel every service even before they sign up. They'll search for the guide on how to do that, and if they cannot find it, most probably they will not sign up.
End of story.
Repetitive push notifications are invaluable. Users will disable all of them, and you will have a very hard time prompting them to activate them again.
Understood, Captain.
Arrange a list of what-ifs before you decide how you will approach a feature. Now, be realistic, not catastrophic. Make decisions as if you were going to drive the product in the next 5 years, because you never know, you might. If you specialize in an industry, it is highly probable that you'll stay in that industry for a longer period of time. And even if you don't stay in the same company, users will feel a lack of trust that will not only affect your specific company, but the whole industry. And you will need to do twice the effort to convince them to do something differently. Even if you don't see the suffering of what you did to your users in the short term, karma is a bitch. You will see that problem happening elsewhere. Product sense isn't something mystical, it's methodical. Document your progress. How are you doing? Make predictions and measure results. Your future self will thank you when you become the PM who knows what users want. Advanced tip. Study user behavior psychology. Understand the shortcuts people take. Users are predictably irrational. They cut corners. They want fast rewards. For example, cognitive overload. Too many options paralyze users. Don't ask your users to get a master's degree in your product.
Red or yellow? I can't decide.
Okay, so now you've got 5 product sense accelerators. You're already thinking smarter than most of the PMs who don't believe in upskilling. But here's the thing, human brain can only handle so much information before it just checks out, which is why we'll leave the concept of user psychology for another video. Hit subscribe if you want to learn new tips to level up your PM game. Thanks a lot and have a great day.